Hello internets, and welcome to the 10th Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle I have uploaded to YouTube. You can call me 12 Pack, and the battle I have for you today is against probably the single person I've had the most battles with on Wi-Fi. I don't actually know him, but he's on my friends list and we've battled maybe 6 or 8 times. So for this battle I decided to do something special since it is the 10th battle I am uploading to YouTube. And the special thing I decided to do was to compose my team of my top 6 favorite Pokemon as of right now. I mean, it's probably susceptible to change down the road, but there's a few on here who would definitely have their spots cemented in my top 6 for all time. So in team preview here, I'm going to give a little brief description of why I like each Pokemon I have on my team so much, and then we will jump right into the battle. First up, for anyone who's watched any of my other videos, is Tangrowth. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I love using Tangrowth, and the main reason for that is not particularly an aesthetic one. I mean, I think he looks okay, but he's not like a total badass or anything. Simply, I like having him because he counters so many of the Pokemon that normally give me a hard time, like Garchomp, Gliscor, Azumarill, etc., etc. And also his ability, Regenerator, is extremely good, so that helps me a lot as well. So next up on the list, if you've watched my last video, you'll know the reason I like Kingler is that he's the first shiny I caught as a kid, way back in Leaf Green. And since then I've just really enjoyed Kingler. He's actually pretty decent all around, although I can say he doesn't really do a whole lot this battle, spoilers alert. But yeah, he still remains one of my favorites. And then third Pokemon on my team, another Gen 1 here, Muk. Now the reason I like Muk is back when I was 6 or 7 and somebody gave me my first Pokemon card. I can't remember who it was, but I remember the card, and it was a Grimer. And ever since then, I've loved Muk and Grimer because they just remind me of that moment way back when. Plus, I think Muk is just kind of hilarious because his expression is just so tormented and sad that it kind of makes me laugh. But yeah, that's the reason for him. And then third on my team, we have Audino, who, much like Tangrowth, I don't really like from a aesthetic perspective. I mean, he's just kind of like a pink fucking bunny with bells on his ears. But I really like how he plays in the game because a lot of people don't seem to know what Audino is actually capable of. So that helps a lot for going a long way with him. And also, like Tangrowth, he has Regenerator, which is extremely, extremely useful. So for fifth on the team here, we have Electros, who I like to battle with a lot, but I'm not often very successful with him just because he's not the strongest on the defensive side. But if you can manage to set up with Coil with him, he seriously does work, and having no weaknesses except a Mold Break or Earthquakes is definitely a plus. Plus, I just think he looks really cool. And then last, but certainly not least on my team, is probably my favorite Pokemon of all time, the one, the only, Tyranitar. And yes, I know he is an OU, and I don't really normally use OUs, but ever since I first saw Tyranitar way back in Crystal version when I was like 7 or 8, I was like, holy shit, that guy is fucking badass as hell. And ever since Crystal version, in each successive generation of Pokemon, I've trained a level 100 Tyranitar from scratch, and even going so far as to in Platinum, farming for a shiny Larvitar using Poké Radar, and I still actually have that one, although he's not really that fit for competitive battling. But yeah, that's my team. They have a somewhat decent synergy with each other. Obviously, I don't actually have any hazard setters or rapid spinners, but fortunately I don't really need them for the coming battle here. So let's take a look at my opponent's team here real quick. This guy, Seraltok, he always uses pretty cool stuff on his teams, which is one of the reasons I like battling him. And as we can see here, this team is, well, Not really an exception, but he does have a few annoying things on there. But let's see, we got Sylveon, nothing really to report on that. Staraptor, which is pretty cool. Not a whole lot of people use that thing anymore with Talonflame out and about. Charizard is pretty much OU now, but he's still cool. I mean, come on, he's Charizard. And then we got Luxray, which is pretty badass. You don't see a whole lot of them, that's for sure. Aegislash, well, can't really lie and say that I see them only rarely, but I still like Aegislash. It's one of the few pokes I actually trained in Gen 6 here. And then finally Garchomp, and this guy loves using Garchomp. I'm pretty sure it's his favorite Pokemon, but I don't really mind because, as I said, I usually bring something to counter Garchomp, so for the most part he's just a free KO for any team I'm running. So, without further ado here, let's get started.
Sir Altok is issuing a challenge.
So, he's going to lead with the Garchomp. Surprise, surprise. But, turns out I was expecting it this time from prior experience, so I decided to lead with my Beastly Tangrowth. And he's going to go right ahead and start off with an Earthquake, trying to get as much damage as he can. And that's not going to do anything, because Tangrowth is just too beastly. So I'm going to nail him with the Hidden Power Ice, which is the main thing I use to kill all the pokes I hate, excluding Azumarill. And he's going to fire back with an Iron Head, which does a lot more than the Earthquake, but still nowhere near enough. And he takes recoil from my Rocky Helmet, and dies. So that's Garchomp out of the way, 2 turns into the game. And I do get flinched there, but it doesn't actually matter, thankfully. So he brings out Charizard, and if there's one thing Tangrowth doesn't appreciate, it's Stab's super effective special attacks, which will absolutely destroy him. So I'm going to peace out immediately with him there and bring in T-Tar to hopefully wreck some face. And I set up the Sandstorm. This isn't really a very good Sandstorm team I'm running since nothing actually is immune to it other than Tyranitar, but that's okay. So he Mega Evolved into Mega Charizard Y here and cancels out my Sandstorm anyway, so big whoop. And he's going to hit me with an Air Cutter, but one of my new favorite sets to run with Tyranitar is the Assault Vest set, which is what I'm using this game, so I just eat that Air Cutter like nothing. But he turns out to be a mixed Charizard, so he hits me with a Flare Blitz, and that does a fair amount more damage, in addition to getting Burn Off on me, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to be able to just drop Charizard in one shot with the Stone Edge, because this is a max HP, max attack Tyranitar. And then you just throw Assault Vest on him and he's good to go, basically. So he's going to send out Staraptor afterwards, and I get 1 attack stage loss from the Intimidate. And knowing this thing has got to have close combat, because why else would you send him in, I swap to Tangrowth and proceed to take said close combat imminently. There we go. And if I were him, honestly, right there, I would have predicted that switch into Tangrowth and used Brave Bird, because even had I stayed in with Tyranitar, it probably would have KO'd me if that thing is Choice Banded, which, actually, it just shows that it isn't this turn, as it uses Aerial Ace. So it must not be carrying Brave Bird, otherwise he would have used it and KO'd me. But I'm going to go ahead and get a Sleep Powder off here. I'm not really sure why I did that. I probably should have just gone straight for Hidden Power Ice and killed it off right away, but I guess maybe I was predicting him to switch out on Tangrowth and wanted to put to sleep whatever came in. But regardless, I'm just going to be able to take him out with Hidden Power Ice on the next turn, so it was only really just 1 turn wasted, not a big deal. So out comes Luxray, and I'm thinking, that's kind of a funny challenger for Tangrowth. He must have some kind of ice move. And lo and behold, he does, but since he doesn't get the Guts boost activate on turn 1, I'm able to tank that with 10 HP, just barely surviving, and then put Luxray to sleep too. Now, Tangrowth had better get the fuck out of here, because if that thing wakes up and hits me one more time, I'm dead, and I don't have any attacks that can really damage him a whole lot. So I'm thinking this is going to be the perfect time to set up shop with my Muck here. This is a max special defense, max HP Muck with Acid Armor, Pain Split, Shadow Sneak, and Power Punch, and he's normally very effective. So I'm just going to sit here and start setting up some acid armors, and he's smart enough to get out of there before I can get too much going, and he swaps into his Aegislash, which is potentially problematic here. But I drop a second acid armor and a third acid armor. So I'm at +6 defense now, but as you'll see, that may not have been the wisest course of action as he starts to set up his sword stances on his own side of the field here. And then he goes straight for King Shield, which is very bad because I had gone for Shadow Sneak, and there goes 2 stages of my attack, and because he is Ghost type, I can't hit him with Power Up Punch in order to increase my attack any further, so as you saw from that attack there, Muck is doing basically nothing to that thing as it sets up, and to make matters even worse, it has weakness policy on too. So all of a sudden Aegislash is at +6 attack and I'm doing no damage to it, so not good. I better get the hell out of there while I can and go back into Tangrowth. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, Tangrowth's not going to survive an attack with 78 HP against that thing. And you're right, I only swapped him in to get the regenerator boost. Sending Muck back in basically as death fodder now in order to sacrifice that HP boost for Tangrowth. And he's going to hit me with Shadow Sneak, and as you'll see, +6 attack Aegislash, rather, is nothing to mess around with as he easily one-shots me, no problem. So Tangrowth is going to come back in here with 3/4 HP or so, and just to play it safe, I'm going to swap him out again and fodder off something else. And this time it's poor Electros who kicks the bucket here as Shadow Sneak just wrecks his face, which is unfortunate, but poor Electros. Now Tangrowth's going to come back in at full HP, and if it can still KO me in one shot, then I'm pretty much screwed. So here comes the moment of truth. Let's see. Nope, I actually could have brought him in without even sacrificing Electros, but I wasn't 100% sure, so best to just play it safe. Now, I put him to sleep here, and this is where I need to be able to get rid of this thing, or else have him wreck the rest of my team, basically. So, what do I do in order to get rid of him before he wakes up? Okay, I'll start with a knockoff, since it is super effective. And it does pretty decent damage, but doesn't get rid of the weakness policy since it's already been used. And he's going to swap into Sylveon here, which Tangrowth is not going to appreciate because, as I've mentioned so often, special attacks against Tangrowth are not something you want to have happening. So obviously I'm going to get the hell out of here as soon as possible, saving Tangrowth for later, and bringing in my Audino, hopefully in order to take some special attacks here. So it turns to be carrying Hyper Beam, which is rare, but I know it has that ability that changes normal moves into fairy types. I think that's what it does anyway. So as you can see, that does an absurd amount of damage, almost taking 3/4 of my health there. But fortunately he has to recharge, which gives me a free turn to get off the Toxic to begin stalling this thing out, since that's basically my only option. I can't swap in Tyranitar because he'll get OKO'd. Or at least 2-hit KO. No, probably OKO'd because he only has like 50% HP left now anyway. So I'm just going to start using Protects here and hopefully staying alive, as it turns out to have Draining Kiss, which makes the Toxic stall potentially even longer than it should be. But I'm losing, or she's losing HP gradually. As this turn, they could have KO'd me, but didn't go for Hyper Beam, so Audino lives to fight one more turn at least here. Oh, and I used the Heal Bell to get my T-Tar back into fighting form, since he is burned, I believe, from, Actually, I don't even remember what burned him. Something did, though. I'm sure he is burned. So I'm going to swap out into my Kingler as Death Fodder in order to get the Regenerator boost with Audino. Which is unfortunate, because this is a max speed choice band Kingler, and I kind of wanted to give him a shot at dumping some fools, but this time is not the time he gets to shine, and he just goes down in one shot. Toxic damage is racking up on this thing though, taking about 1/4 health this turn, and I'll bring back in my Audino with half health left thanks to Regenerator, and continue to stall with Protect. Yeah, this is kind of a little bitchy play here, but if I don't do this, it's just going to steamroll the rest of my team, so it's really my only option. And now we're taking off big chunks of health with Toxic, and one more turn and it should probably be dead. And why I didn't go for a double protect there, I don't know. I guess maybe I figured it could use Draining Kiss so that it could live another turn of Toxic. But he made the right play there and Hyper Beamed me, getting rid of Audino. And let's see, does Poison actually kill it this turn? The Poison doesn't even kill it this turn, so it turns out he was in the right and I was wrong this time. So I'm going to send in Tangrowth and hopefully... Ah, he has to recharge from Hyper Beam, that's why I did that. So Tangrowth gets a free switch in and is able to revenge kill the Sylveon, which was easily the biggest threat this battle to me. Now that that's down, I believe he has, what, Luxray and a couple other things left. Sorry, I'm not really good at remembering these things. So I'm going to bring my Tyranitar back out here to commence the ponage, as it were, and set up Sandstorm, which could potentially be pretty helpful. He's going to wake up and hit me with Fire Fang. I guess maybe predicting a double switch back into Tangrowth, although since I had full health, I'm not sure why he would have thought I'd do that. He could have easily just gone for Ice Fang, since it would have been super effective against Tyranitar as well. But he's got Night Slash there. I guess he was hoping to get a crit and having that KO me, since it's basically the only way he would have been able to kill me in one hit that turn. But that's not to be, as I dump him with Stone Edge. Now Aegislash comes back out, and if this thing wakes up and hits me with Sacred Sword, it's basically over, because he can probably stall out my Tangrowth and then just drop me unless I can get off Sleep Powder. But Tyranitar resists Shadow Sneak, and since he doesn't have any boosts, I'm easily able to survive and nail him with a Pursuit, which is super effective, and I get a crit to top things off, although I'm sure I would have killed him had that not happened. And with that, the battle's over, people. So, great game, Sorrel Talk. I really enjoyed that. You're one of the few people I can actually have a reliably good battle with on Wi-Fi. And I hope you all found my top 6 Pokemon interesting. It's bound to change down the road, and I'm sure to do another one of these episodes sometime down the road as well. Let me just cut the music here. So, with that, I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.